Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome everybody to our Tuesday, November 16, 2021 land use meeting and public hearing and call this meeting to order. Would you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Attorney Ingalls, would you be able to certify our agenda this afternoon?
Yes, Mr. Chair. There is one item on today's agenda, item 3A, that required notice. It was published on November 11th, 2021. With that, you have proper notice and jurisdiction to proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Ingalls. Are there any commissioner disclosures for any items on this agenda today?
I have none, thank you.
No, sir.
And I have none. With that, I'll move to item 2, our land use meeting agenda items. Today we have no items for land use. So with that, we'll move to item 3, public hearing agenda items. And we have an item 3A, a resolution supplementing the 2021 adopted budget to appropriate unanticipated revenues and appropriate assigned and unassigned fund balances in the amount of $44,799,022. Kim Hirsch from staff.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. As Commissioner Lean mentioned, I'd like to formally present the third and final supplemental for fiscal year 2021. The total amount of the request for your consideration today is $44,799,022. More specifically, the supplemental request will be increasing appropriations for new revenues that have been received since the formal budget adoption, allow for unspent grant and project dollars to be carried forward into the current fiscal year, and appropriate fund balance for new initiatives that have arisen since January 1st. I will quickly go through some of the larger requests by fund, but we'll be happy to try and answer some of your more specific questions at the end of the presentation. The general fund is $9,891,964. Of this amount, $5.2 million are new revenues for which spending authority must be appropriated prior to the funds being spent. $325,000 is being requested from unassigned fund balance for possible contingency needs as budget moves into the year-end compliance exercise. And lastly, there is $4,640,878 that is being requested for unspent projects and grants being carried forward, as well as new initiatives that have arisen since the 2021 budget adoption. Some of these items include the additional human services and district attorney needs, as well as some elections equipment. The Road and Bridge Fund is requesting $663,518 of new revenues with a like amount of expenditures to appropriate or to offset the additional costs of the Castle Pines snow removal IGA and various paving projects throughout the county. Human Services Fund, due to the state of Colorado's fiscal year being July 21st through June 2022, an additional $18,298,316 of new revenues need to be appropriated at this time. These funds will go towards the programs of child welfare and adult protection, food assistance, which is $14 million of the $18.2 million being requested, low energy assistance program. The Law Enforcement Authority Fund, $795,140. This assigned fund balance is being requested for the early purchase of 15 patrol vehicles. Due to the supply chain issues and microchip shortages, Chevrolet is requesting purchase orders to confirm 2022 purchases. All vehicle outfits we made in the 2022 budget. The Road Sales and Use Tax Fund, $2,788,600 of additional spending authority is being requested to offset new revenues received via the 1% collection of the sales taxes throughout Douglas County. These funds will go towards the increased sharebacks due to the local municipalities of Parker, Larkspur, Castle Rock, Lone Tree, and Castle Pines. Through August 21, the sales and use tax collections are up 21.2% over current year budget. The Justice Center Sales and Use Tax Fund, $5 million of new revenues received from the sales taxes trending 21.2%, need to be appropriated in order to make the transfer to the general fund to offset the costs associated with the operations of the detention facility. Including this transfer, the new amended budget for the Justice Center Sales and Use Tax Fund will be $31,044,424, with an assigned fund balance of $29,719,799. The Open Space Sales and Use Tax Fund, $815,800. Again, increased revenues from the 1% collection of the sales tax revenues. The sharebacks will go to Parker, Larkspur, and Castle Rock. The Rocky Mountain High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area Fund, $1,289,269 of modifications approved by the Board of County Commissioners throughout the year and need the spending authority prior to the funds being spent. American Rescue Plan Act Fund, $139,815 of new revenues need to be appropriated to offset the costs associated with the new broadband services study. The Capital Expenditures Fund, $101,600 of assigned fund balance is being requested for the purchase and installation of sneeze guards at the Clerk and Recorder's office, as well as some needed improvements to the county fuel tanks. The Local Improvement District LID Capital Construction Fund, $15,000 of assigned fund balance is being requested to pay for the appraisal and design of the Sageport and Bannock Local Improvement District projects. And finally, the 3 self-insurance funds need additional funding authority in the following amounts. The Employee Benefits Fund, $1 million. Liability and Property Insurance Fund, $1.5 million. And the Medical Self-Insurance Fund, $2.5 million. With this final supplemental, the 2021 amended budget will end the current fiscal year in the amount of $527,895,295. This amount is a 16.7% increase over the 21 adopted budget that we adopted last December. With that, that concludes my presentation, and I'd be happy to answer any questions by fund.
Kim, you always do such an exceptional job with the budget, and we've been able to share some really good information with the public about the way in which the county's been operating, and that's largely due to all of the great reports that you've presented to us, so thank you for that. Any questions for Kim or comments? Commissioner Teal.
Thank you, Chair. Hey, Kim, so I wanted to go back a little bit into the memo with the general fund. So $5,251,000 looks like it's new revenues received. Is this just unanticipated sales tax, unanticipated property tax? Can you give us an idea of the source of these new
A lot of
revenues?
these are going to come through your grants. We have reimbursable grants. So we don't get to ask for the revenues until we've actually incurred the expense, and then we need to recognize those revenues. $5 million is a transfer from the Justice Center into the general fund that needs to be recognized. That will eventually probably roll into fund balance, but it will also offset your additional expenditures. So none of these revenues are going to come from property taxes. It's just various pockets that we receive primarily through grants.
Okay, that was my big question. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Commissioner Teal. Further comments or questions?
So Kim, I was trying to remember, last year, wasn't our final number 582 million? Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, it was over $500 million.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this year we're at 527,000. So we're still over $500 million, but we are not up as much as we were last year.
Correct. In the previous year, we recognized, I want to say, 30 million that was received for the COVID relief. So that kind of bumped us up. Next year, it could be higher. We'll receive quite a substantial amount of dollars for the ARPA fund. I think we already have 30,000 this year, but because we're not spending any dollars this year associated with that, that'll fall into 2022.
Right, so the treasurer's already received 34 million from the federal government.
Correct.
But that's not in here because we're not getting ready to spend it. So we don't have spending authority, so that'll be probably next year if we spend stuff next year.
Correct. The only thing that we've spent of the 34, whatever you mentioned, is the 139 for the broadband. So the remaining difference is going to roll into fund balance. Once the board decides how those funds will be allocated in 2022, we'll pull out and ask for spending authority.
Perfect, thank you. I have no other questions.
Kim, I just wanted to clarify that too. So total budget, including ARPA, is 527 million, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then I was going to ask you as well, so on page 3 of the packet, when you talk about the general fund amendment and the public health department specifically, obviously some expenditure from the general fund for some of those initial needs have been identified and have been certainly appropriate, but isn't it true that ARPA can be used to reimburse general fund for public health infrastructure?
Well, we set up a specific fund for that, so you'll see that in additional Fund 296 for more transparency.
Yeah.
For right now we have just a little bit for contract services in there that we needed to enter into this year. So that's why the general fund is paying for those right now.
Right, but that expenditure can be reimbursed through American Rescue Plan Act dollars, right?
Yes. we could do it.
Conceivably.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to clarify that. Any other questions or comments for Kim? Okay, and with that, I will open it up to any public comment on this item. Is there any public comment with regard to this item on the agenda? Seeing none here with us in the gallery. Troy, do we have anybody online?
Thank you, Commissioner. I have no online public comment.
Okay, and with that, I will close public comment and bring it back to the board for any further deliberation and/or a motion.
Mr. Chair, I have a motion to approve a resolution supplementing the 2021 adopted budget to appropriate unanticipated revenues and appropriate assigned and unassigned fund balances in the amount of $44,799,022.
Second.
There's a first and second on the floor. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kim. And with that, we have no additional items on our agenda, and we are adjourned for today.